In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in black and white emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening and welcome to America in Black and White. Tonight we're joined by a dynamic leader whose mission is to help achievers break free from hesitation and step boldly into confident action. Our guest is an international speaker, leadership trainer, and tech savvy marketing coach who has shared the stage with legends like Les Brown and Dr. Joseph McClendon III. He has inspired audience from Atlanta to Sydney, Australia, and Montego Bay, Jamaica, equipping professionals to grow their influence, especially on LinkedIn through compelling messaging and smart tech tools. As an executive director with Maxwell Leadership and a certified neurosyncoding specialist, he empowers coaches, entrepreneurs, and leaders to get visible, add value, and make a greater impact, both online and offline. Please welcome to the stage Michael J. Pope Jr. Hello, sir.
Hello, Charles. How you doing?
I'm doing just excellent. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we get into the show?
Yes, so greetings, everyone. As Charles mentioned, I am Michael Pope, international speaker, coach, and trainer, and I help high achievers stop hesitating and take bold action.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Very excited to be here.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. And, so I'm going to start first by let's start with your journey and your story, and how you got to where you are now. Can you tell us what experiences shaped your outlook growing up?
So for me, Charles, I grew up as a natural introvert, very low self-image, and I never saw myself as a leader. So growing up, I wouldn't speak up when moments showed up for me. And there's one pivotal moment that happened to me many years ago, back in 1994, at my grandfather's funeral. And he was a hero to me, Joseph Pope. So he was a hero to me, someone that I really looked up to. And at his funeral, they had an open invitation. They said, anyone who wants to come up and share remarks about Joe, come on up. And Charles, I sat there and I wanted to tell everyone in that room how amazing my grandfather was. But I allowed fear to keep me seated.
Wow.
And the regret of not taking advantage of that moment dealt with me for years. And it led me into the world of personal development. And that's really where my journey started, when I started reading books and attending certain seminars and really learning from mentors and coaches on how to grow my self-image.
So then I'm assuming that was giving you this confidence to speak freely and to be a motivation to others.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started when I started reading books. Actually, the first book that I ran into was I met a mentor named Percy. And I remember asking Percy, I was like, Percy, how are you able to be so confident and have so much charisma with dealing with people? Because he was high school educated, but yet he commanded authority from people who had PhDs and other leaders just because of the way he carried himself. And Charles, he said, Michael, if I loan you a book, will you read it? And to be honest with you, I had just graduated from college. I wasn't a reader at all. I took the book with no intention of reading it ever, right? I put it on that shelf that we all have, that someday shelf, It just is a nice gesture. But fortunate for me, Percy followed up. He was a great mentor. He followed up and he said, hey, Michael, I just want to check in and see how that book is going. And Charles, I gave him so many excuses, from being busy at work to spending time with my family and all types of excuses. And so Percy challenged me a little bit. He said, "Hey, you think maybe you can handle one chapter?" I was like, "Sure, I can handle one chapter." He said, "Go grab the book." So I went and grabbed the book. And the book was The Magic of Thinking Big. And he said, "Turn it to chapter 2, and I want you to read that chapter." He said, "Read the title out loud." So I opened it up. Chapter 2 said, "Cure yourself of excuse-itis, the failure disease." And I remember reading that, and it felt like a gut punch. So I read that chapter, and I realized that every failure in my life was a result of the excuses I'd been making. So those moments when I didn't raise my hand and speak up when I had an idea, or when I wanted to share a thought or share some remarks about someone, they were just excuses that kept me seated. And so that led me into the world of personal development. And I became a reader, a studier of personal development. I'll never go back.
So, who were your biggest influences in your formative years?
Yeah, so my grandpa Joe was a big one for me, even though I never saw him as a leader, because he was a hard-working, honest person, but I didn't understand what leadership was. And so some of the people that really helped develop me was what I saw on television. So in a lot of times I was watching martial arts movies. So it's people like Bruce Lee and the way he thought and the way he carried himself. Like I kind of emulated that. And then it was other people like, listening to the Dr. Kings of the world. So hearing Dr. King's speeches. And then the first motivational speaker that I ever heard was Les Brown. So I remember listening to Les Brown, and he was the first person who looked like me that I saw talking about success principles. And he was talking differently from other people of color. And I was like, oh, wow. And just started studying and listening to Les and other people like that.
So how did your upbringing prepare you for leadership?
Yeah, I think for me, it was, so I learned about the true definition of leadership from John Maxwell. He says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so once I learned those words from one of his books, I went back and started reflecting on the people I had grown up around. So people like my great grandfather, who he was a yardsman, and he did janitorial type work. However, I remember he was always extremely honest. And even as a little boy, when I would be helping him on his job, he let me know. He said, "Hey, we're going into these people's houses." He said, your job is to pick up the trash. He said, "Don't touch anything that you see on their desk or on their chairs." He said, "If it's not in the trash can, you leave it alone." And he kind of implanted those seeds in me of being honest everywhere I was at. And I had other family members who taught me about being respectful, right? Speaking to everyone you walk into a room and just dressing people with respect. And I started realizing that they were leaders, even though they didn't have a quote unquote title for leadership. They were exemplifying leadership qualities. And I try to use those throughout my life. My grandpa Joe, I remember he received the Thomas Jefferson Servant Leadership Award. And I actually keep his award on my desk. Normally I don't see it. Oh, there it is. I keep his award on my desk. And the Thomas Jefferson Servant Leadership Award. So I'll hold up here.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
And on the back of it, it says, "In recognition of outstanding public service."
Mm-hmm.
And my grandpa Joe, so he was a double amputee, Charles. So below the knee, both his legs were cut off when I was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I still saw my grandpa walk around serving neighbors. Even with no legs, he would drive some of the neighbors to doctor's appointments, and he would take them to grocery stores. And as a young boy, I thought it was crazy. I was like, why don't you just stay in bed? I mean, I didn't understand why he wouldn't just let people take care of him versus him taking care of other people. But I remember him telling me, he said, "Michael, it's not about the award. You have to make serving others part of who you are." And I didn't get it at first, but looking back over the example that he shared and other family members, I'm like, I understand it now. And so that's part of my DNA now, right? Serving other people. I do it all the time now.
So as you think about how this culmination brought you into leadership, did it help you to come up with what you consider to be your leadership style and how you actually apply it?
Absolutely. Right. So I am a servant first leader. Anytime, even before I ever try to convert someone to be a client, I always look for opportunities to add value to them. So right now I'm part of Maxwell Leadership's faculty. a paid member on John Maxwell's team. And the reason why I got that position was because during COVID, when I was on his team, I was reaching out to people, helping them with technology. That's my background, technology. When COVID hit, people were like, how do I use this thing called Zoom? And how do I set up this? Right? People were really struggling with technology. And so I volunteered. I would tell people, hey, let's hop on a Zoom. I can help you navigate this. I'll show you how to use Zoom correctly and different things. And word got around about me volunteering my time to help people out, right? Adding value to people without asking for anything in return. And that opened up opportunities for me. And it continues to open up opportunities for me as well. So, yes.
Well, so can you tell us this? How did you get to your why, your motivation for what you do?
Yeah. So for me, growing up as a natural introvert, terrified of public speaking, once I overcame those fears, I started realizing that my life has been impacted by other people speaking to me, right? Typically from a stage or from a book. And so I knew that I wanted to be able to do the same, which is why I became a speaker, which is why I became an author as well, because I want to be able to impact people that one to many and just make a change around the world, right? Impact people everywhere I go.
So what challenges did you face early on and how did you overcome them?
So the biggest one for me was hesitation. Like I thought it was fear. I thought it was procrastination, but it was really hesitation. And I think it came about because growing up, I was a natural perfectionist, and I thought everything had to be perfect before I turned something in or before I did something. Even my background is in software development, and so I was used to trying to write perfect code before I submitted it and things like that. And hesitating to speak up, hesitating to apply for things, right? Hesitating to potentially face rejection held me back and caused me to miss so many opportunities many years ago. And once I realized that was what was holding me back, I made it my mandate that anytime there's something that I want to do, I'm not going to hesitate, right? I do it immediately. Take the messy action, chasing failure, willing to fail, right? But I just do it knowing that it's not going to be perfect, right? Knowing that done is better than perfect. And that way I can make the moment perfect.
So when did you first realize you had a gift for teaching and inspiring others?
I think it happened when I was in probably several years ago, back during my Toastmaster days. I'm still in Toastmasters. Toastmasters helped me to overcome my fear of public speaking. And I went from giving the traditional 5 to 7 minute talks to being asked to teach 45 minutes at some of our leadership institutes. So I started doing that on a regular basis. And I started realizing that, hey, people enjoyed hearing me speak. They were getting something from me speaking. They would come back and ask me questions and ask me to do other speaking engagements. And then I realized, hey, I can do this. And then in my work, so my corporate life as a software developer in information technology, there was an opportunity that came out back in 2015. They sent out an email looking for volunteers to teach a diversity and inclusion class. They wanted to do a train-the-trainer program. They sent the email out. I immediately replied back, check with my manager, and I applied to be one of the trainers for diversity and inclusion for our IT department. And once I started doing that, we were doing like 4 to 6 hour type trainings. And I did a little over 20 of them over a 2.5 year period. But once I realized that I'm able to actually command an audience of people who really don't know me that well. We had some relatability being at the same company, but they didn't really know who I was. But I was still able to confidently educate them and really communicate with them in a group setting. And I realized, man, I could do this full time. Right? I can do this. And that really drove me to join the John Maxwell team in 2019, because I was like, I want to do more of this.
Mm-hmm. So what is it about the John Maxwell team that inspired you so that you had to be a part of that team?
Yeah. So for years, I would listen to John Maxwell speak from stage. Right. It started with reading one of his books. Developing the Leader Within You was the first book I read. That changed me to let me know that I was a leader right where I was at. And then I would hear John speak from stage, and he would talk about his team and what his team was doing. I was like, man, if I move into the professional speaking or training arena, I want to be a part of his team because of his values and just because of really just what they stand for. The Maxwell DNA is all about adding value. So it was in perfect alignment with me. So as soon as I was in a position where it made sense financially and from a time perspective to join, I was all in. Right. And I'm forever thankful for it.
So how did your family and community support your ambitions?
So my wife and kids definitely supported it. My wife and I had a discussion before I even joined the John Maxwell team, and we were like, "Hey, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna invest money to join this team, we got to make it work." And I promised her that, "Hey, if I do it, I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna make money with it. I'm gonna be successful with it," and that's what I did. And she gave me the encouragement. Like, you're right. So my wife's been a stay-at-home mom for the last almost 19 years now.
Oh, wow.
So she's always, maintained the household. And if I needed to travel or do something, she would take on whatever needed to be done, right, to kind of fill that gap. And so that really helped me out. I also had other family members, uncles, cousins, mom, constantly giving me, accolades and just cheering me on, which is really good, right? It feels good to know that I have other people that believe in me, even though I had to learn how to first believe in myself. And I still work on that today, right? I'm constantly working on my belief because I know that that's important. I've got to believe in me first. However, I'm very thankful for all the other people who believe in me.
So in thinking about all that, and especially with having a strong, supportive family, do you always hear in the back of your mind, do you always hear those words and the things you can imagine from your grandfather that
Yes.
pushes you and spurn you more?
I do, yeah. Because I tell his story so often, I definitely hear his words and I see his, like I see his movement, and how he treated people, and I'm forever thankful for those lessons because I love spending time with him. Even as a driving teenager, I would drive over to my grandfather's house and spend time with him. Like I would spend a night over at his house. I remember he would take me to the movies. Like we did so much. And as a young boy growing up, like I was fascinated by his prosthetic legs. I would kind of like play with them because I had never seen, wooden legs before. And this was years ago. So he had the big heavy ones and it was different. But he never let it hold him back, Charles, which was cool. I mean, you would never know that he had health issues because he never complained. I mean, I always saw him serving other people. And it almost made me mad sometimes because I would see him helping people that were probably in a better position than he was. And I'm like, they aren't helping themselves. Why are you helping them? But he just loved helping people.
I think that's the thing about, as I think about when I was a little boy growing up, coming to teenager and so forth, that I remember that it didn't matter if it was like the older men or the older ladies. They always was doing whatever needed to get done. And the community was always helping each other regardless of the case.
Yes.
And so as I think about that, that's one of the things that helps to push me further. How does that work when it comes to you when you see what your grandfather was doing? How does that make you work within the community?
Yeah, so for me, my wife and I have 3 sons, an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 13-year-old. And we've always led by example of serving. So for us, it really started mainly in our church. So for years, over a decade, my wife and I served in kids ministry at our church. And our kids went through kids ministry, and obviously they saw us serving in that capacity. And then when they started aging out of the kids ministry, they came back and they would help. So they would help us with check-in. They would help if tables needed to be moved. Whatever needed to be done, they would do it because they were just so used to seeing serving. Like that just became a part of who we were.
Mhm.
And so that helped. And then also any other opportunities that we can serve, whether it's in the community or other places, I see it in them more, like being willing to volunteer for opportunities to speak or other things. Even if it scares them a little bit, just seeing them willing to do it because they've seen us do it.
Mhm.
And so that makes me feel good knowing that I am setting the proper example because they're always watching.
So, was there a defining moment that shifted your career trajectory?
I think for me, it was probably when I learned how to accept the fact that other people believed in me. Because
Mhm.
I would hear it from certain people, and like you hear it from family members, and you're like, okay, they have to say that, right? Like mom has to say that you're great, and things like that, right? It's like you kind of take it for granted. However, when I started having other people show that they believed in me by giving me opportunity, like one example is there's two sisters that I work with now, Kay and Shy, and I met them on the Maxwell team, and they gave me the first opportunity to be a part of a team on the Maxwell team because they were like, "Hey, Michael, we would love to have you be a faculty member on our team." And so they did that, which opened up doors for me. And then they left the Maxwell team and started their own coaching institute, Neuro Coding Institute, working with Joseph McClendon III. And they invited me to come over and help with that too, to be a part of that, which was really opened up doors for me, right? Like I would have never met Joseph McClendon III. And I had read one of his books many years ago that he wrote with Tony Robbins. And when I had the opportunity to meet him and become friends with him, like, I'm so thankful that they believed in me enough to put me in that environment. The same with Les Brown. Like, I've had an opportunity to speak on the same stage as Les 3 times now, meet with him, actually had an opportunity to interview him. And honestly, I mean, he if you ask him now, he doesn't know my name, but he recognized my face because he's seen me enough times, which is pretty cool. And that's all because people believed in me and I accepted it, right? I trusted them when they said, "Hey, you're good enough to be here." I believed it, and I acted on it. So I'm
Wow.
forever thankful for that.
It sounds like, as you've gone through the time from from being young to being the person that you are right now, it seems like, you like to do the combination of not just the service but the teaching.
Yes,
Can you tell us what does the teaching do that helps to inspire you so much?
yeah. For one, I learned it better, right? So anytime I'm teaching someone something, it forces me to really study it and learn it so that I can explain it.
Hmm.
And one of the things that Joseph McClendon always he taught me and he teaches other people is that we have to assassinate complexity. And what that means is making things as simple as possible so that anyone can understand it. And I've learned how to do that. And that continues to open up doors for me. One of the reasons why I'm able to teach for like the John Maxwell team, to teach the other speakers, trainers, and coaches and have them listen is because I know how to keep things very simple for them to make it where so they can understand it, but also so that they don't feel like belittled. Like some people can teach, but they'll make you feel dumb that you didn't know it. And
Right.
I know I don't do that. Like I've learned how to be patient thanks to relatives and grandparents and things helping me with that. And so I make it very simple for them to do. Make them feel empowered because they're doing the work. Even if I'm saying click here, click there, they still feel empowered and it makes them feel good.
Wow. So, how did your journey lead you just to Maxwell leadership in general? Because I know that you saw things by passing and
Mhm.
you got a chance to meet Les Brown and you were reading books and so forth. But how did you actually get to Maxwell?
Yeah, so it was funny because I knew about John's team, and the first couple times I heard about it, timing wasn't right. Like from a financial standpoint, and from with everything in my life, it was too busy. And then in 2019, one of my friends called me up. He said, "Hey, Mike," he said, "I just got the phone with this lady from the John Maxwell team." He said, "I'm considering joining," and I was like, "Really, you are?" And then and he said, "Yeah." He said, "Let me know if you're interested and I can get you in contact with the person." I said, "Okay, I'll let you know." So I went and I talked to my wife about it. And then she said, "Oh yeah, go find out the information." So I called up the lady that he was working with, and she gave me the price and all that. And I went back to my wife just to make sure that it was a good fit. Financially, we were fine with it, and it just made sense from where I was in my speaking career. That was the logical next step for me, because at that point, Charles, I was speaking for free a whole lot in other places, like especially in Toastmasters and in other clubs. I mean, I was constantly volunteering, speaking. I was already training people. So it just made sense for me to really start monetizing that. Yeah, I'm forever thankful I did.
So, what personal values guide your mission today?
The biggest one is adding value to others. Like John Maxwell says that we are people of value who value people, who add value to people. And for me, it ties into what my grandpa Joe taught me about, serving others. And that's why I keep this on my desk, because I can always think about, okay, I need to be looking at how can I add value to this person. And one of the things I tell, whenever I'm teaching marketing, I always talk about how with marketing is showing your ideal client how you can add value to them over and over. And when you have that mindset of adding value, the fear goes away. Because if I truly believe, Charles, that I'm adding value to you, why would I be afraid to add value to you? It doesn't make sense, right? Like if I was a waiter at a restaurant and I came and I wanted to offer you dessert, why would I be afraid to offer you dessert? Right? If I believe that I'm adding value, it's your choice whether you accept it or not. But it's like, hey, why would I ever have fear with that? And so once I started embracing the adding value mindset in everything that I do, it's just like fear goes away, and it just makes it so much easier to connect with people.
Wow. So, what advice would you give to young people starting their careers?
Yeah, one thing I'll say is let go of hesitation, right? Let go of hesitation. Don't let it stop you. There's times, because especially a lot of young people, like they have ideas, and I know when I had those ideas, I held on to them. And Charles, it made me mad when I would be in a meeting and I had an idea in my head, and I'm sitting there trying to make it perfect in my mind before I say it, and then someone else says a similar idea and it gets accepted. I'm like, man, I had that same idea. In fact, mine was probably better, but it's like that person spoke up first. And so that's what I would tell them is don't hesitate. You've got to be willing to fail, and it's okay. Like failure isn't final. It's okay to fail. And I tell you, like I've seen this through my sons, especially in karate, watch them grow. And the best example is watching them when they first started breaking boards for the first time, like that fear about, if I hit this piece of wood, am I going to break my hand? Is it going to hurt? And obviously now they're confident. But I saw it a little bit later as they progressed in karate, when it came time to break bricks. Because at first, they would see people breaking bricks, like, okay, I don't ever want to do that. Boards are okay, bricks. However, now, like my middle child, his name is Charles, and he's broken 3 bricks with his hand multiple times now.
Wow.
And it's just because he doesn't hesitate. And he realized that, okay, if I hesitate, I'm not going to break it. If I hesitate, if I second guess, I'm not going to break it. He knows he's got to go all the way through. And he's not aiming for the brick. He's not aiming for the bricks. He's aiming past the bricks. And that's what I would tell these young people. It's like, you're not aiming for the thing that's right in front of you. You're aiming past it, right? You're not aiming for college. You're aiming for, okay, what am I going to do post college and all that, right? You got to see in the future.
So let's talk a little bit about your work as a coach and a trainer.
Yes, sir.
And tell us, how did you transition into coaching and training professionals?
Yeah. So when I joined the John Maxwell team, they talked about different paths you could be on. And initially, my goal was just to focus on speaking only. However, opportunities started showing up for me to start training other people, especially the coaches and other people will say, hey, okay, I know you can speak, but will you come and train us on this? And I started doing it, and I said, oh, I actually like this. And I actually like training better than, and like I love keynote. However, when you speak, like you speak on stage in front of a couple thousand people with confidence, they're getting something out of it. But in most cases, they're just taking notes.
Mhm.
However, when you're training people, a lot of times they're doing as you're telling them to do it, right? Or it's something they're going to apply right away, and they can get a result. And then you get as a trainer, you get the benefit of seeing that result. And the same with coaching, right? When I help someone go from that fear of marketing themselves or fear of setting something up because of technology or whatever is holding them back, and then they do it, they're like, man, I did this. And like, and then they feel good about, they're like, oh man, I would have never been able to do this without you. I'm like, you did the work. I'm like, I just told you where to click, but you had to do it. But it empowers them, and that makes me feel good.
Mhm. Wow. So, what do you enjoy most about helping high achievers break free from hesitation?
It's seeing the aha moment when they finally break through.
Mhm.
It's because you'll see it on people's face when they finally get that aha moment.
Mhm.
And I'll go back to the first time I saw my kids break bricks. They're surprised the first time they do it. They're like, "Oh, I actually did that!" Right? but the thing is, they're no longer surprised. They're not surprised the second time because they believe they're going to do it. Right? They already know. They're like, "Okay, I did it once. I can do it again." That's something that I love seeing with coaching clients. Is that once you have that breakthrough moment, they're like, "Okay, I've done this. I've proved it. I can do it again." And they got that level of confidence, and then you just move on to the whatever that next barrier is in front of them, and then work through that.
So, what are some of the questions that your students ask you a lot? What is the most common question?
Yeah, I think one is, so a lot of times, I mean, I get technical questions as well, but sometimes it'll just be like, it almost be like why do I need to promote myself? Because they'll say, well, if somebody wants to join my webinar, if someone wants to join my mastermind plan, like if someone wants to hire me to speak, like they'll reach out to me and find me, and I let them know it's like you've got to let go of the fear of self promotion. It's like if you don't get rid of the fear of self promotion, you're gonna be the best kept secret. And a lot of people, that's hard for them because if you grow up believing that you shouldn't be bragging and showing off, then you're not gonna post and let people know what you're gonna do. And I let them know it's like you're doing your potential clients a disservice by not making them aware of what you can do. Right? It's like if you know you can solve their problem, why are you not letting them know you can solve it? Because they're out there. Like they're hurting and they're looking for an answer. And what people don't realize is, like, you'll see people on stage speaking, and it'd be people in the audience. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm a better speaker than that person." Yeah, you might be, but however, when the event planner was looking to hire a speaker, they didn't know you existed, right? You didn't send a proposal. You don't have a video. They don't have any evidence that you can speak. In your mind, you might be better, but you're not applying for it. Whereas the other person, hey, he submitted 100 applications and he's speaking and putting videos out. Right? But that's probably the biggest thing is that question about the promoting part of it. Like, should I promote myself? Do I need to tell people? Do I really need to promote myself? Yeah. If you want to be found.
So, how do you adapt your coaching methods for different industries?
Yeah. So really, pretty much all industries have a lot of the same problems,
Mhm.
and a lot of them is dealing with self first.
Mhm.
And once you can really overcome self, like Joseph McClendon talks about the toxic 10, which is really those things like fear of doubt, fear of failure, procrastination, hesitation, overwhelmed, like all these different things. Most people deal with them. And so that's really where you start. Where I like to start first is figuring, okay, what are the emotions in your life that are holding you back? And then once we identify that, it comes down to, okay, now what do you want? Because regardless of what industry you're in, what do you want? Right? You're looking to be a professional basketball player. Like, is that really what you want? Okay. And then we can figure, okay, what are the obstacles in your way that's stopping you? Mm-hmm. What are the opportunities that are available for you to do that? Okay. And then you can figure out what the plan is. And then, of course, we celebrate. One of the things that I've learned from Joseph McClendon is that we always celebrate the activity that we're doing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people wait till the end to celebrate the actual results. Like, no, don't celebrate the results. Celebrate the activity, the things you have complete control over. And so that's why, like, the industry itself doesn't matter, whether it's leadership or something, like, because people need leadership. You got communication, you've got personal development. It works for any industry.
Now, when I read your profile and we had the chance to chat, and as I was looking through your bio, I came to the conclusion in my mind that you are a very innovative guy. Now, when it comes to your work and you being so innovative, having the ability to not only adapt, create, and, thinking on your feet to move and to make things happen, how do you get your students or your trainees to learn this innovation and how to be innovative?
So innovation can be tough. The biggest thing is being willing to fail. Like, a lot of people, they're afraid to tell people their ideas or truly innovate because they're second guessing themselves. But once you get over the fear of failure, then you're able to try things out. And so my background is in software development. So in software development, if I'm working on something, it's easy for me to try something out. This might be new, get a result and see, well, okay, that's not my desired result. Then I'll try something else. So in software development, it was easy for me to be innovative because you're just trying different things out and all that. Even with like AI, right? It's like with AI, you can just try things out. It might not be perfect. You try it out. You don't like it there. You try another tool out, type of thing. And so that's what I try to get them to do is, hey, just be willing to fail. Like, it's okay. And the thing is, you can fail in a small contained environment, right? Like if I'm just working with you one-on-one, Charles, right? It's okay for you to fail while you're working with me, or for me to fail while I'm working with you. No one else is going to see that. Mm-hmm. Like, that's okay, but you've got to be willing to fail somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a good point. Now, just when it comes to that, I need to follow up on that, and that is, so now when you're in these much larger environments, because you've got a room full of people,
yeah,
how does that change?
Yeah, so it's similar, and you can do exercises to help people out. Mm-hmm. So even something just for most people, they just have to get out of their shell. Right? So you need some type of pattern interrupt. Mm-hmm. One of the things I did, so I was speaking in a group, it was probably maybe 70 or so people in the room. One exercise that I had them do was to grab their cell phone, put it in video selfie mode, and I gave them some affirmations to say. So I said, look at yourself eye to eye in video mode, press the record button, and I want you to say your name. So I was like, I'm Michael Pope. And I'll say, I love you. So I'm like, I love you. I appreciate you. You're amazing. You're wonderful. And that, it made a lot of people uncomfortable, especially the I love you part. Them even saying that to themselves. A lot of them, it was low the first time. And then we did it again and it got a little bit louder. And I had a few people come up to me afterwards and they were like with tears in their eyes. They were like, it's been so long since I've told myself that I love you. They're like, especially looking at themselves. Because most of us, Charles, they'll get out the shower. You're looking in the mirror. Most of them you don't really look at yourself in the mirror. You say, oh, okay, I'm getting more gray hairs now, or I got some wrinkles here or some lines here. Like, we're looking at the bad things versus truly looking at ourselves and just appreciating who we are, and saying, and being able to say, hey, I love you. I appreciate you. But just having the whole audience do that. I even did it in Italy, which was funny doing it in Italy because they did it in Italian through the interpreter, but they still did it, and you saw that it kind of loosened people up because it's something silly to do, but it still loosened them up enough where their guard is down, and then you were able to be a little bit more innovative. Mm-hmm. Like I've even seen, like we did a group setting and we had people do some building with the Lego, like partner exercises with some Lego bricks. Mm-hmm. And, you got these 6-figure corporate executives or whatever, professionals doing this, but just the act of playing something that they probably would never do at home with their kids or grandkids, but them doing it there, they're like, oh, okay. And it was the creative side comes out. Right. And once you get that creative side, the juices flowing, then innovation is easy to come out. Like those ideas just popped in because your guard is down.
Right. And you're not really thinking about it. It's all subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So what role does mentorship play in your coaching?
Oh, a whole lot. So for me personally, I have to have mentors in my life. Like I couldn't imagine where I would be if I didn't have my mentors. And I'm constantly talking about them because I know, like, my first public speaking mentor was an amazing woman by the name of Carol Cormelink. And I remember when I joined Toastmasters, how she took me underneath her wing and she kind of gave me direction, and she taught me about studying other speakers and taking advantage of every opportunity to speak. And it was Carol who gave me my first opportunity to give a 45-minute speech. Because I remember one day I walked into a meeting and she saw me. She said, "Hey, Michael, are you going to be at the meeting on Saturday?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll be there." She said, "Great." She said, "We need someone to cover the Evaluate to Motivate session." She said, "Here you go. And she gave me the manual for this presentation along with a CD that had the PowerPoint. She said, "Hey, I'll see you on Saturday." And so that was my first 45-minute thing. She was my mentor, so I couldn't say no. But I did it. I didn't do it perfectly, right? But I did it, and I realized, okay, I can do this. She believes in me, and I can do this. So having mentors is so important. And I tell people, right? And obviously, there's a difference between coaching someone versus being a mentor and all of that. However, it is so important to have a mentor in your life. For me, my first mentors were through books. It was books and audio programs. Like that still works. Reading books, listening, and nowadays, of course, you got AI where you can almost have AI kind of answer those questions for you. They're not it's not going to really coach you, but it can help with some of that mentorship. But for me, it's important for me to have people that I can be accountable to, and that will hold me accountable as well.
So how do you measure success in your training programs?
Yeah, so it's typically either based on the actions that people are taking, right? So whatever the goal is. And so typically, like if it's a group training, obviously everybody has different goals. So normally, like if I'm going to speak at a company, I'll ask them, okay, so what does success look like at the end of this, right? Is it people setting more development plans for the year, or is it them completing a certain assignment faster? Just so I have an idea so I can speak towards that, whatever that goal is. So that helps. But if I'm working with someone like one-on-one, then it comes down to, okay, what do they want? And what do we need to do to actually the steps to get them there? Mm-hmm. So like I have some coaching, some clients of mine who I'm helping them with some of the technology side. So that technology may be them setting up a webinar for themselves, right? So the goal is for them to have a successful webinar. So we'll go through the steps of setting up the landing page and promoting the webinar, them setting up their presentation, knowing how to deliver their content on the webinar, having their offer in place so that way they know exactly when to pitch their offer on the webinar and that whole follow-up process, right? And then at the end of it, we can look at it and see, okay, actually celebrate that you successfully did the webinar, regardless of whether no one showed up or whether 100 people showed up, right? We're still going to celebrate. And then we can look at the result and see how we can make an improvement.
So the people that are looking at the show tonight, and let's say if they're interested and they want to be a part of this training program and having you as a coach or a trainer, can you tell them what are they going to get from you and what can they expect?
Absolutely. So one of the things you're going to get from me, so two things. So one is the training. So if you bring me into your training, whether it's at a corporation or whether it's one-on-one training, what you're going to get from me is clarity on what your goals are, because that's the first thing. Right? I'm gonna dig in, and we're gonna get clarity on what do you really want, because a lot of people don't know how to answer that question. Like Charles, I ask, you ask them, hey, what do you want? They'll say, well, I don't want this, I don't want that. Like, no, what do you want? Let's focus on what do you want. Get your mind focused there, and then we'll work through, okay, what's holding them back. So that's the main thing is we're going to figure out, okay, what do you want? And then we're going to put together a strategic plan, helping you be a doer. So my book is Doers Win the Day. And so a lot of my philosophy is based on being a doer, and doer is an acrostic, and I'll share the acrostic in a little bit, but I'll show you, how to actually have a plan, and then how to be a doer, and really how to win every single day. Wow. And the thing is, once you learn how to win the day, right, you're going to be winning your weeks, you're going to be winning your months, and then you're going to look back and you're going to say, hey, I won a whole year. And like, it works. Mm-hmm. Like I'm gonna be in Orlando speaking at the end of the month, and one of the things I'm going to talk to him about is about winning the year, and how, because it's a goal achievement seminar, and I'm talking about how the last 12 months of my life, like some of the wins. And so for me, it was speaking internationally in Jamaica, speaking in Sydney, Australia, speaking in Rome, Italy, speaking on stage with on John Maxwell's stage this year, and also I spoke on stage with Les Brown and interviewed him and some other stages that I've been on. But it was all a part of me winning the year. But it starts first with knowing how to win the day, mm-hmm. right? And winning the day starts with knowing the night before, what do I want tomorrow's win to look like? Like having that clarity, so that way you can wake up knowing, okay, this is what winning looks like. If I accomplish this, I won the day.
Mm. So what's the most rewarding feedback you've received from a client?
Wow, so much. Like I've had so many amazing testimonials. I'll say one from a speaking. We were in Sydney, Australia, and this lady came up to me after my talk, and she's got a marketing background. And she was like, man, your talk just blew me away. She said, you gave me so much clarity. She said, my background is in marketing. She said, but then I'm transitioning into being a coach, and it just didn't connect. Like she couldn't connect her corporate marketing background with marketing she needed for her coaching business. And I remember just, she said one thing you said, she said, everything makes sense to me. She said, but there's the one thing about seeing it as adding value. She said, that changed everything for me. She said, because I said that marketing is showing your ideal client how you can uniquely add value to them over and over. And she said, once I understood that, and then the way you put the pieces together, it's like I can do that. Mm-hmm. She's like, I did that for my corporate, but I know I can do that for myself now. And so that was huge. And I get lots of testimonies from my clients. I've had clients who, when they first started working with me, like they'll always say, because they're normally like some of my clients are older, right? So they're like 60 plus, like they retired, and coaching is their second or third career. And so a lot of them will say, oh, I'm probably too old to learn this tech stuff. However, I had one yesterday, I think she's 70 something. And she was like, she said, Michael, the only reason why I'm able to do this is because of you. She said, people see me now and they say, hey, you're so tech savvy. She's like, honey, if you just knew. She's like, no, I've got somebody who's taught me how to do this. And now she's confident that she knows how to figure it out. Like I've shown her how to solve problems, to figure out how to do, like if you don't know how to do something, how to solve the problem yourself. But I get a lot of comments like that from people who just that freedom that they feel. It's a good feeling.
So how do you keep your coaching methods fresh and relevant?
The main way is I keep my mind fresh and relevant, right? Through reading books, constantly attending seminars, working with my mentors, right? And I'm a continuous learner. I'm a great student, And so I'm constantly studying. And I'll give you an example. So one thing is, I was earlier this year, I was asked to be a part of the team to help with to help support Go High Level, which is a software platform that the Maxwell team is using. And because of that, I started really studying it. And then I said, hey, I'm just going to go and I'm going to pay to get certified. So I paid myself to go through their certification program, got certified fairly quickly, attended their conference as well. But that's kind of how I stay fresh is saying, okay, I'm going to jump in and keep learning. If I'm asking my clients to learn and grow with me, I need to be learning as well.
Wow. What challenges do coaches face in today's fast changing business world?
One big one is technology. Technology is changing at a rapid pace, especially with AI. So I think one big challenge is them understanding, okay, what AI tools should I be using without getting confused, because there's so much, right? And you get distracted too. So learning how to effectively use like tools like some of these AI tools for their business and be productive versus playing around. Because it's easy to get caught up in the habit of playing around on social media or playing around as far as creating content or whatever you're doing and waste time. So that, I think that's one of the things that really holds them back. Another thing is it comes back down to fear, because a lot of the that I've worked with in the different industries that I'm different organizations that I'm with, a lot of them are transitioning from corporate America. So they're in corporate America, you're making a 6-figure income, you're comfortable, you've got a whole team of people doing stuff for you, and now you're a solopreneur. And you don't have anyone. If you're having problems with your email, you've got to figure it out or hire somebody to help you out, right? It's like you don't have anybody you can just go to say, hey, how do I do this? Or can you help me with that? And I think that's a big challenge for a lot of coaches, is they're like, okay, I'm great. You give me a client in front of me, I can talk to them, I can help them out. However, they're like, how do I get the people in front of me? Right. So it's that marketing challenge. How do I get people to even know that I exist? I know that I'm great. How do I let the world know? So that's a big challenge that really caused a lot of people to even leave this industry. People who are very qualified, however, they don't know how to get clients, which is a shame.
Well, do you think because of the ever-changing things that's happening now with technology, that's expanding not just business but society in like exponential growth at a millisecond? Do you think that that's overwhelming, and it's so overwhelming that a lot of people aren't just willing to be patient enough to actually go through the process, learn the process, and then apply the process?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things I hear from some people is they're like, well, why do I need to learn this now? Because I know it's going to change. 3 months from now, what I learned today is going to be like, especially with technology, because it changes so fast. They're like, why do I need to learn this version of Chat GDP and all this? Because I know it's just going to change in a few months. I'm like, no, you need to stay up with it. If this tool is part of your tools for your business, you need to go in and learn and embrace it. Figure out how to use it, right? Or hire someone who can use it for you effectively. But you can't just run and say it doesn't exist. Like there's still people who say, well, oh, I'm not going to use AI. AI is from the devil and all this type of stuff. It was like really, and, you're going to have to embrace it, or you're going to become irrelevant because you're going to get left behind.
Well, I think that's going to happen to a lot of people because a lot of people still aren't willing to invest that time to learn AI.
Yeah.
How do you balance theory with practical application in your training?
So one of the things that Joseph McClendon the third, he told me from day one, like when I joined his team as a faculty member, and he tells all the coaching students there, the specialists is what we call them. He said, we don't teach theory. And he said, so the first thing you need to do is you need to coach yourself first, right? Apply these principles, this processes to yourself first. So that's what I have to do. I have to make sure that I know it, I believe it on me first, that it works on me. And that keeps it from being theory. It's no longer theory if I've done it to myself. and then be willing to do it on other people and get feedback.
Well, so how often do you do like these many projects that you show off to your class and you use them as examples? How often do you create those?
I whew. So that just depends, right? Because that's a tough one. I teach so with the Maxwell team alone, I teach typically 4 to 6 hour long training sessions per month with them. And then with the Neuroencoding Institute, I teach on average 4 per month. So I'm constantly creating content and using people as examples and kind of walking them through, here's how you do X, Y, Z type of thing. And so we're constantly doing that on a regular basis. And so it causes me to learn and try. And I'll even like volunteer to help certain like potential coaching clients, but I'll help them for free to do something as a way of me practicing this and actually going through it, like explaining it to them. Okay, I'm like, okay, that worked. So then I know I can teach it to a group.
Mhm. So, what's the one skill you believe every professional should master?
I would say communication. I think in today's age, like communication has always been important. Today, because of AI, it is something that a lot of people are taking for granted now. Because years ago, like you would hear all the marketers would say content is king. Well, content is no longer king because of AI. Because I can take a 5-year-old and have a 5-year-old write a book, right? I can help a 5-year-old write a book using AI. So content is no longer king. However, communication is more important because nowadays, when you see content on LinkedIn or social media platform, we naturally assume the AI wrote it. So we're like, okay, that person didn't come up with those many words. AI wrote that. That's what people naturally assume. So your ability to verbally communicate is so important because when you're dealing with people, right? Because they don't want to deal with an AI video or AI chat. They want to talk to a person. That's most people's biggest complaint now. They go to a website and you can't even pay to talk to someone. You're like, please, I'll give you money. Can I talk to a human? I don't want to go through this little chat bot to answer questions and right? It's like, but communication, I think, is the number one skill.
That's one thing that I have to agree with you on that, but I want to get your opinion on something here because what you said is something really key about the writing part. And like, I know how I love to write, and I know a few other people that say that they love to write. And what I'm finding is that it's not that people are not writing. I think because of the overuse of AI, and when people actually write and craft things from them, where it take you a long time sometimes to write, depending upon what you're writing. But for some people, they honestly, the first thing they say is AI wrote that, and it's like, do you want to debunk that, or how do you disprove that?
It's tough, right? Because the thing is, if you write something and if it's perfect, if it's too perfect, we're just going to assume that AI wrote it, right? Like you're not good enough. AI wrote it, and that's the same with books,
Right?
Right? It's like you look at it like you're like, oh, okay, AI wrote that, and it's tough. So and you'll hear the strategies of break the language, right? So you're like, okay, even if AI wrote it, you need to have some grammatical mistakes in there, add a story in there, some filler words or something, right? So like kind of mix it up a little, break it a little bit. However, at the end of the day, most people still believe that AI wrote it. And I think you just have to get past this. Like if they do, like it doesn't really matter who wrote it. It matters, is it information that can help you out? That's gonna hit whatever the goal is of this content. Like if I'm sending you an email, is this email clear enough to help you out? I mean, I can write it in my own words, or I can take half a second and let AI write it the way it should be written.
Mhm.
So like I love using AI. I still read it and I'll tweak things up, but I know that AI saves me time.
Mhm. So let's go over and let's go directly into your work as a speaker and your speaking engagements. Like you've spoken internationally, so what was it like addressing audiences in Sydney and Montego Bay?
Oh, so and I'll start with Montego Bay. 'Cause that was the first one. That that was my first time in Jamaica. Took my wife with me. The people were amazing. And it was different because in Montego Bay, well, in Jamaica, like it started later than expected. We had tech issues because they didn't think we needed to do a tech check because they were like, oh, we got it, type of thing, right? So it wasn't as structured as what I'm used to, but the people themselves were amazing, and things just it flowed well. Being in Jamaica, talk to them like they had energy, passion, which was great. I shared a whole lot about my grandfather, and a few people came up to me later and said, "Hey, here in Jamaica, said our grandfathers and our elders are very important to us. So hearing you talk that way about your grandfather really earned a lot of respect from the people there." I was like, okay, I didn't know that going in, but it was just cool doing that. So that was in Jamaica, so that was fun. And then in Australia, so that was that's when like I saw myself going to Jamaica, as a black person. I mean, I saw myself like, I was like, okay, yeah, one day I'll probably go to Jamaica. That'll be easy. I never really saw myself going to Australia. I always thought it would be cool to go, but I never saw myself going that far across the world. But showing up there, seeing how beautiful everything was and how friendly the people were, I mean, that felt like a real international trip to me. Even though Jamaica was international, but that felt like a real international trip being in Australia. I mean, it was just amazing. Obviously, they spoke English, so that worked out well. And so that was a cool experience. But then I'll go to my last international trip was in Rome, Italy. And so that was different because of the language barrier. Right? Because they were speaking Italian and we were working through interpreters. So it was just different. I mean, I say something in English and have to wait for the interpretation. So it was just a different feel, but it was cool nonetheless. And you can still see the passion and the impact that we were able to make speaking from stage to them. Even though the language was different, it still made an impact.
So how did sharing the stage with Les Brown and Dr. McClendon III impact you?
Whew. So I tell you, I'm forever thankful for my personal development. And I owe a lot of that to Joseph McClendon, his processes, because initially when the opportunity came up, imposter syndrome immediately showed up, right? And tried to like keep me from wanting to go up there, trying to tell me all types of excuses of, oh, maybe you are just you're just not prepared to speak this day, and all types of things, right? It's like it shows up. However, but thanks to Joseph, I have a process. Like Joseph has a process called the stop technique. So I knew how to, for one, I mean, I knew that I deserved to be on the stage with those guys. I mean, I knew that I deserved to sit at a table just one-on-one with Les Brown and have a conversation with him, not putting him on a pedestal, still showing him the respect that he's due, but being able to just have a friendly conversation with him. I knew that I deserved to be there. And so it worked out, and it's like imposter syndrome didn't really have a chance. It's like it showed up, but I quickly just pushed it to the side and then kept moving forward and delivered the content that I knew that I was capable of delivering, with full confidence and all that.
So with the resilience that you have and the mental toughness that you have, what was it like when you being on the stage with those guys and you got all of this knowledge that's just flying out there? What was that like for you? How did that experience shape you?
It felt great. So I'll tell you. So the first time I spoke after Les Brown, one time I actually spoke right before Les, and then he spoke right after me, immediately after me. And so he actually called back to a statement that I made. That made me feel amazing. I'm like, okay, well, Les was listening to my, you just never know, right? It's like, I was like, wow, he actually heard me speak. And so that felt good, knowing that my hard work, my discipline is paying off. Right? Knowing that me being a person, me adding value to other people, having the right heart, and also having the proper preparation. Like as a speaker, if I wait till I get on stage to start thinking about, or even moments before getting on stage, like if I'm thinking about what I'm going to say or my presentation and all that, then I've lost the game. But thankfully, I've had enough mentors in my life that taught me how to properly prepare, so that when I show up, I can be relaxed, I can joke around. If the schedule gets switched around, I'm flexible because I come there prepared, hang loose, so I'm able to go with the flow. And like the last time we were in Atlanta, Les showed up unexpectedly. Like we found out that morning, like we were backstage, they kind of let us know that he was coming. The audience didn't find out until he actually stepped on the stage. They were like, "We got a special guest that's coming," but the connection he has with Joseph. He called Joseph, like Joseph let him know he was going to be in town. Les called him up. He was like, "Hey, when am I on stage?" Like, "Okay, we'll find a spot for you," right? So it's like, so that was a cool feeling of knowing that, like I said, I can hang out with him, but I know that I'm prepared. I know my content well enough where I'm not going to be nervous because I got these amazing speakers looking at me, eyeball to eyeball, right? Like it's obviously there's going to be a little nervousness, right? Like I speak in front of my kids, I can be a little nervous. However, when you're properly prepared, you know that you're going to deliver what you're meant to deliver. Even if it's not the exact thing way I practiced it, I know it's what was meant to be said.
So tell us, so with you being now a renowned speaker, how does that transcend over into your being an author?
Yeah, so it worked out great. Back in 2022, I gave a talk talking about being a doer. And it was an acrostic, and the talk went over really well that I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep using doer. So I started using the doer acrostic in multiple arenas. So I would give a 20-minute speech using doer. I gave an hour-long speech using doer. And so I was constantly using doer. And then finally it dawned on me, probably people telling me this as well, that I should take that and put it into a book. So I took a transcription of my keynote and put it in AI and let AI help me out, like to organize it so that I could use it as a book. But I think it's really important. So I've had mentors in my life that tell me, hey, as a speaker, you need to have a book, right? Like this is a bookmark for me. I mean, not a bookmark, but this is a business card, right? This is my business card essentially. So it's important to have a book, especially on the topic that you speak on. And so this is one of the main topics that I speak on, that hesitation, self-leadership type of thing. And so it just works out having that.
So
and it continues to open up doors.
How does the speaking, and you're working as a coach and a trainer, how does that work when it comes to dealing with the people in the community? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's the same, right? Adding value. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter whether I'm at church, whether I'm at a volunteering at a different community event, or like one of the organizations that I do volunteer work with is ACP, American Corporate Partners, and it's an organization that's helping military veterans transition from the military into civilian life, whether it's entrepreneurship or whether it's corporate America. And so I've had opportunity to work with them for the last, I think, 4 years now. And they partner you up one-on-one as in a mentorship type program. And it's just like I use the same skills, the same coaching skills that I'm using on my clients, I'll use on them as well to help them hit their goals, right? To help them break free of that fear, the hesitation, doubt that's holding them back, helping them understand, okay, getting clarity on, okay, here's what you want. Here's the skills that you already have, and here's how these skills translate. Your leadership skills in the military, here's how they translate into corporate America speak and all that. So it's the same type of thing.
So what's your process for preparing a keynote speech?
Yeah. So for me, I like to almost with anything in life, like I begin with the end in mind. So I learned a long time ago, you're preparing a keynote speech, think about, okay, what do I want my audience to do, think, or feel as a result of me speaking? Right? If I'm going to be speaking for them for 20 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, what do I want them walking away with at the end of my talk? And so once I understand that, then I can go backwards of, okay, what framework is going to help me out with that? What examples can really help me? Like, if these are my points, what examples or what stories can I use to really anchor that so they remember it? What action steps can I have them take along the way, or interactive activities can I have them doing to help reinforce these principles? But it starts with the end in mind and working backwards.
Oh, wow.
And then it makes it easy to be able to it makes it really easy for me to be able to, because I built it in modules. Whereas if my time gets cut, or if I'm running short on time, then I can just cut out a section of it, because I already know what the end is. So without me having like missing out on my end, I can just cut out a part in the middle that's just okay. I can cut that part out and still deliver the ending part to make sure that they're walking out with what I promised.
So, how do you connect with diverse audiences across cultures?
Yeah, well, I've never had an issue with that, thankfully, because I guess with my background being in information technology, I've always, in most cases, I'm always one of just a handful of Black people, handful of people who look like me in a room. So I've had to adapt. And because I see people as value, and John Maxwell says, see everyone with a 10 on their head. Look at them as a 10 first. So because I see everyone like that, I treat them that way, regardless of their background, whether they're high school educated or, they've got a doctorate, multiple doctorates, or whatever, right? I'm going to treat them with respect. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to expect the same back for them. And so I think that helps. And because I truly believe in what I'm sharing. And I'll tell you, so I had an opportunity to go, this was 2 years ago, go to Panama, and they speak Spanish. And I was working doing a training there in Panama through a interpreter. And I remember one point, like, we were asking questions, and one lady, she's speaking in Spanish, but she was in tears. She was sharing this emotional story, and it was coming back to me in English through my interpreter. But she was looking right at me as she was saying, and I was like, and I felt that connection. I'm like, even though there's a language barrier, she feels my heart. I'm able to feel her heart just through her emotion, right? So we've connected, even though we're going through an interpreter. It's still a connection there. But I think it just comes with when you see everyone as someone who's special, and you're treating people that way. It makes it easier to connect. Like you just naturally see the things that create that connection for you.
So, what role does storytelling play in your speaking engagements?
Yes, storytelling is important. You have to have all. I mean, all you pretty much see all speakers are telling stories, and you have to, because stories help you connect with your audience. Stories are more memorable. Like, people, they may forget the points that are given. They may remember some quotes, but people would normally remember a story. Like when I really go into detail about my grandpa Joe's story, about the prosthetics and him serving in the community thing, like, people typically remember that. And they'll say, oh yeah, that reminds me of my grandfather, who, he had a cane and he did this, or this person. So people will connect with your stories. So I think it's very important to constantly work on your stories. One of my speaking coaches, he says, talks about how all speakers really should have a speaker bank, like some type of collection of stories that you can just, at any moment, you can go and access those stories. And it doesn't matter what tool you put them in, right? You can put them in Excel file if you want to, or Google. I like using Google Sheets so I can get to it anywhere. But having those stories somewhere, and then of course practice those stories. Just do it in conversation with people, give short speeches. That's one of the reasons why I still love Toastmasters, because I can take a story or a small part of my speech to a Toastmasters club and practice it.
So let's talk about your work as a mentor. And I think this is probably one of the most fulfilling and completeness of the work that you do, because now that you've run around that whole gambit and now you mentor, which means you're saying, go fly. Uh, how do you define mentorship in your own life?
Yeah, so mentorship is it's important. I love opportunities to mentor people because with mentorship, yes, where you're essentially saying, okay, I've done what you're trying to do, and so I can kind of walk you through what I had to do, like the hurdles that I had to overcome, so that way you can go further faster than I did. And with ACP, when I'm mentoring the people there, I love it when that the mentee does what I suggest they do, right? Whether it's learning something, whether it's applying for a certain job, and just seeing the results of it and being able to be like, yeah, man, I helped be a part of that, and just feeling good for that person. Um, right? Because sometimes, like obviously, in a coaching relationship, it's slightly different, but in a mentoring, in most mentoring, like they're not paying you any money, so it's nothing like that. It's just you're pouring into them, and I love those opportunities, especially for people who are not in a position where they would ever be able to like pay me back necessarily, but still being able to know that hey, I was a part of helping them achieve their goal.
So, what inspired you to mentor others alongside your professional work? Because I know that your work is demanding, it's detailed,
Mhm.
and you've got to be meticulous about everything. So, this is a whole lot of stuff that you're compiling. How does that work?
Yeah, so for me, I think it's just because I know that part of what I do has to be given, needs to be me giving back to other people. Um, and this is a good feeling. And I'm forever thankful for the mentors that I've had in my
Mhm.
life. And so when those opportunities come up where I can mentor someone or there's a need. And I think my first time mentoring was when I was in college. We did a with young young men or young boys or whatever at the time, helping them just with their them, almost like in a Big Brothers type of program. So helping them with that, and I really enjoyed that, seeing their progress. I've had opportunities to mentor young corporate professionals coming in, wanting to learn about IT and just understanding like really how to navigate their IT career and all that. It's been a good feeling knowing that I've been a small part of their success too. Being able to give them some guidance, maybe recommend some books to them or some audio programs to them, and just give them that encouragement that there's so many people who don't have. I know there's so many like especially like young black men who grow up in homes where they don't have a father figure, or even if their father's around, maybe their father has never really truly been successful and is not in a position to impart success to them. And so I love, I've had opportunities to mentor people, even though they lived in the house with their father, but their father just wasn't in a position to do that. Um,
So um, how do you guide mentees to build confidence and clarity?
yeah. One thing is they have to have action steps,
Mhm.
right? And so, like I talk a whole lot about being a doer, and that's all about taking action. So anytime you're guiding someone, if you can give them something to do so that they can get a result, and then you can talk through the process, okay, of letting them know, hey, you did that, right? Hey, you took the action. So, hey, pat yourself on the back, like celebrate yourself for taking that action, and the result was successful. So now you've done it once. If you've done it once, you can do it again. And you just have to build up that muscle memory for them of that those little micro successes
Mhm.
along the way. It builds so much confidence. And like I said, I've seen it with my kids in karate. So all three of my sons are black belts in karate.
Mhm.
And the two oldest are working towards their third degree. The youngest is working towards his second degree. But I really saw it with their confidence with doing with katas, um, and breaking boards and then breaking bricks, seeing the confidence rise. but it's just doing those little bitty things. Like from day one, they weren't able to break bricks, but by doing the exercises and doing the practices over and over and over, that repetition over and over and over, it built that confidence and it built their skill level, but their strength. And that's the same with the mentee, right? It's like they're not going to do everything right away, but if you give them those little bitty, let them have little quick wins, win, it builds their confidence and they're going to keep excelling.
When are you satisfied as a mentor?
I think it's when the mentee starts mentoring other people.
Okay.
That's when you really feel it. It's the I do, we do, you do, then they do, like they do it to someone else or whatever type of model. But that's really when you see it. Because I know like some of my coaching clients, they'll come back and they'll say, hey, you'll be so proud of me. I helped this person with Canva today, using what you taught me how to do. And things, I feel good knowing that, okay, that they felt confident enough to show someone else how to do what they've been learning how to do. That's when it really feels good, because you're like, yes, they listen, number one, but also it works, right?
What role does accountability play in mentorship?
Accountability is huge. I think everyone should have at least one person that they're accountable to, if not more. It's huge. Because I know me personally, left alone, I have great discipline in my life. However, left alone without accountability, I'm dangerous. Because it's so easy for me to tell myself no, right? It's so easy for me to accept the excuses that are coming out of my mouth. Right, because they sound rational. I say, oh well, we're not gonna do this today because we're a little sleepy. We should rest is important, right? We should take a nap and get some rest, or you deserve some entertainment today. Go watch a movie. You deserve it, right? That's easy to do. But however, I know that when I have to be accountable to someone and they're going to ask me, okay, so Michael, you said you were going to do ABC. So tell me about ABC. If I know that I have to do that, even if it's the night before, I'm allowed to stay up late working on it, because I know that I have to be accountable and explain why I did it or why I didn't do it. So I think everybody needs some type of accountability in their life.
So how do you balance encouragement with constructive feedback?
Yeah, so that's important. I think you kind of have to separate them, right? I think every attempted action should be celebrated and encouraged. You think about like a baby that's trying to walk for the first time, right? It's like you're celebrating every single attempt that baby makes. They stand up a little bit and they fall right back down in their diaper, right? You're celebrating them. You're like, you can do it, right? We need that encouragement. We need that encouragement. So that's important. However, we also need the correction. And like some people do that, you can do the sandwich approach where you're giving some positive here, correction here, and it's more positive on the end. I think that's important. However, it's very important in someone's life to give them proper correction. So right now, my middle child, he's 17, he has his driver's permit, but he's learning how to drive. And so when we go out, we're constantly taking him out driving so he can get comfortable and develop some competency. However, we correct as soon as it makes sense to correct something, we're correcting it, because he has to have that constructive feedback, because his life is on the line. Yeah. Right, our lives are on the line. We're riding the car with him, so it's like we have to make those corrections, and that's not, even if it might hurt his feelings to get that correction, but it's like we're not concerned about the feelings. We're concerned about doing the right things at the right time, right? So we're constantly making corrections when needed, and it's okay. Like I think we're in a society now where people are so soft that they're like, people are afraid to tell people when they're doing something wrong that could be extremely dangerous. It's like telling a friend, it's like if you see a friend that's had too much to drink and they're about to get in their car. Some people are afraid to even tell their friends, "Oh, you've had too much to drink. You probably shouldn't be driving," because they don't want to have that confrontation. I'm like, this person could kill themselves or someone else. Mm-hmm. Like you have to give them that constructive feedback. It's important.
What's one success story from your mentorship that stands out?
Whew, man, so many. Let's see. What's a good one? So I do a tech ready membership that I have, and so I've got this one person who's been a part of our membership for probably 3 years now, and we normally talk about wins on there. And so she shared, and this is probably several months back, she shared how someone had hired her to do something that she learned during our membership, right? Like she developed the confidence to be able to do it. And, and she thanked me for it. She's like, man, I would have never had the confidence to say yes to this, but I knew that, okay, like, Michael's taught me how to do this. I know I can do it. And she knew that if she got stuck, she could come to me and ask me for help. And so she felt confident accepting that opportunity, that paid opportunity to do this thing. And so that felt amazing to me, knowing that that she developed that confidence. I think there's other things. So I've got she gives me a lot of accolades now, like on social media for doing this. This great friend of mine, Dr. Becca Yoxheimer. So she joined my Toastmasters club many years ago when she was looking to work on her interviewing skills for pageantry. And so she joined that, and I worked with her and gave her we set up an environment for her to do interviews and things like that. Great friends. And so we worked on speaking and all of that. And she went on and she won two big district speech contests in Toastmasters. She delivered a TED Talk. She won a pageant that she was a part of. And she gave me accolades on social media for being instrumental in helping her with that journey. And she tells people all the time that I helped out. I'm like, you did the work. I'm like, I gave you advice. I was willing to give you advice, but you did the work. But it feels good knowing that I was just a part of that success.
So how do you prepare mentees to adapt to change?
I think it's important to set proper guidelines first to kind of let them know what's expected. Mm-hmm. I think if they understand, okay, here's what's expected. Like here's my, as your mentor, here's my responsibilities. As the mentee, here are your responsibilities. I think if you both are in agreement with that, then the change part becomes easy. Because you have to have a process in place where, okay, if you get stuck, here's your help button, right? So here's the process of reaching out to say, hey, I need help with this, or I don't understand. I think it's important to have that set up, because we all know that things are going to happen, right? And fear of change is going to come up, or something unexpected is going to happen too. And you want to be able to handle that.
Final question. What advice would you give to aspiring mentors?
For aspiring mentors, number one is have a mentor yourself. And that's the same for coaches too. I've met a lot of coaches who don't have a coach themselves. I'm like, you're a coach asking people to invest their money to hire you as their coach, and yet you're not taking your money and putting it into a coach. It's like you've got to have that. And the same with a mentor. It's like there's some people who take it back. Most successful people I know still have mentors. Even Les Brown says he still has mentors in his life. So I think it's important to have if you're going to be a mentor, you need to have a mentor as well. Even if it's a mentor from afar that you only talk to or every once in a while, you need to have somebody that you can, because it changes. Like when you have a different appreciation when you're willing to humble yourself to listen to someone else. It makes it easy for other people to be willing to humble themselves to listen to you.
So, in closing, what are some words of wisdom and encouragement that you have for our audience? How they can connect with you via social media, your websites, some of the things that you're doing that they may be interested in. If you could tell them some of that, some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing would be, I would say, I encourage you to go to my website, doerswintheday.com, and you can download a free chapter of my book, Doers Win the Day. And there's some bonuses in there as well that comes with that free download. But that's the first thing I would encourage you to do, because it's going to help you with the skills of breaking free from hesitation and being able to take consistent action. In closing, what I'll leave you with is, obviously you can find me on social media, Michael J. Pope Jr. on all social media platforms. And then I want to leave you with this statement. Life doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards action. So be a doer.
Well, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you for being here to do this wonderful interview with our audience, and to to spark more than just interest, but to help to inspire and to motivate them to possibly, I would recommend that they reach out to you, because what I like is the idea of, as the title of your book, being a doer. That work and the profession that you're in, and those things that you're actually teaching and coaching, is about doing. And I think for most people, you never know until you try, but you can't be afraid to try.
Yes.
Because, if you're afraid to try, then you never know what's going to happen. And I know there's a lot of people, believe it or not, are afraid of success.
Yeah.
And being afraid of success, that's a strange thing, but it's a true thing. And so I really appreciate you sharing your story for how you got to your point, because what it tells each and every individual that's listening is that there's stages in everything that we do. But as we go through those stages and we elevate because we're learning, we're doing, and we are accomplishing.
Yes,
And it really makes a difference. And for those of you that are out there, I really recommend that you guys go to Michael's website and you actually download that chapter, because I'm more than sure that once you go through and you get that opportunity to not only read that chapter, that it's going to make you want some more, and you're going to need to get in touch with him to just do that. I strongly recommend that. For those of you that are watching on all of our channels, especially YouTube channels, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, I would ask that you please support us by subscribing and enabling all notifications. You will be able to get each and every show that we do live, as well as go back and watch all of the previous recordings of our shows and get all of the great knowledge that all of the professionals like Michael have left here for you guys to get and to have that access. Also, we will start season 4 as of January 12th, 2026. So I recommend that you guys please make sure that you continue to follow the show and be a part of the work that we're doing, because there are new things coming. And we're adding a new segment where now we will be on 5 days a week, because we're going to be adding Final Word Friday. And Final Word Friday is just that, where you guys get to kick back, listen to the great conversation. You can comment, you can connect, you can do an enormous amount of things there and be a part of the show, which we always recommend. I want to thank you all for watching tonight. Please come back and watch us for our final show of the season, December 31st, where we will do our year in review special. We've got 4 special panelists for you that will be talking about different topics as we talk about the year. And one of the most important ones that I want you guys to know is we'll be talking about mental health. We will be talking about mental health going into 2026 is very, very important. Yes. So you guys, please come back and join us on December 31st as we go into 2026. I want to thank you again, Michael. I want to thank everybody for watching. And I will say, just enjoy again America in Black and White as we continue to color conversations on the canvas of America. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Lordy. I'm sorry, but there was some. Mike, do you mind if I put these questions on the screen? There were some questions here in the chat I didn't
Okay.
get. Um, um, this one right here. This one's kind of strange. It says you're the problem in America. Painted black and white. People like you think they help, but just divided more. In 2025, grow up. Imagine if white people act like this in Africa, grow up.
What is that for?
I don't know who this is from. Somebody named Christian Wahlberg. So good luck to you, Christian, and those thoughts. Actually, this one's for you here, Mike. This person here, they're a certified coach, and they're interested in doing a conference.
Oh, awesome. So I'm assuming they're thinking about hosting a conference, right? But so before you ever host a conference, I would say look for conferences to speak at, number one. Then also consider hosting a virtual conference first, because the investment cost for a virtual conference is fairly low. And in person, a physical conference, there's a lot of expense to it. So unless you really have, and any place you're hosting it at, they want their money up front. Like before you ever sell a ticket, you normally have to sign a contract. So if it's at a hotel, you have to book the room and have a room block and all that. So that can be expensive. But I'll say do it, right? If you're truly interested in doing it, then connect with people to fill the conference. Get sponsors to make it happen for you, whether it's a virtual conference or an in-person conference. I know I love speaking at conferences, so I would love to talk to you more about that. I'm actually going to Orlando the end of December to speak at a conference called the Goal Achiever Summit. That's a great conference. And I'll tell you, so attend other conferences and take notes. I always do that. Whenever I go to a conference, I take notes on what's all involved with it, from the sound people to the lighting people, right? You got to have audio visual people, the room setups, the ticket sales. How are they marketing the event? Because you want to fill the room.
Well, that'll be the last comment. But hey, I thank you for answering that, and I appreciate you. And as soon as the magazine is completed and released, I will make sure that you get your copy. I want to thank you again, and have a great evening.
You're welcome, Charles. Thanks for having me on. Take care.